Well, as you've noted, the American forces in Iraq, as well as in Syria, have been targeted incessantly, many times. The primary responsibility here, given that American forces in Iraq are here at the invitation of the Iraqi government and still helping with anti-Daesh operations, the primary responsibility has to be with Baghdad to control all elements of its armed forces, which includes the Hashd al-Shabi. Unfortunately, Baghdad, well, the institutions of Baghdad, the Ministry of Defense, the Prime Minister, do not control all elements of Iraqi armed forces, do not control all the Hashd al-Shabi. If there were no attacks on American forces here in Iraq, there would be no American reply. But you can't have a situation where soldiers are just daily targets without a reply from them, and this is what we're witnessing. So it's a difficult situation in Iraq. Syria and Yemen are other matters, of course, with different logics and different dynamics. As long as American troops and facilities are targeted, we can expect responses from the United States. The United States doesn't want to escalate the situation. It's trying to respond in more or less measured way, but the risk of this getting out of control is real. And I understand Iraqis may be angry when there's a US strike in response to these things, but they have to control all elements of Iraqi armed forces. And they legalized the Hashd al-Shabi some 8 years ago, and these units have to be controlled unless they want to risk the kind of escalation we are seeing now or worse. Well, as the escalation, the confrontation, which is essentially between the United States and Iran, gets worse, we can expect lots of collateral casualties, more of them, if you will. We saw this in Erbil a little more than a week ago with the attacks from Iran, missile attacks on Perman Road and the tragic loss of life there. This was a senseless attack, but it's the kind of thing that happens with escalation. And it should be worrisome to all of us. Well, if the United States makes a decision to escalate in a serious manner, we'll know it. The attacks we've been seeing from the United States right now have been very limited, very measured. They've only hit militia units and not on a big scale either. But there is a risk that something bigger happens or a mistake occurs. And it's something that everyone needs to stay vigilant about. The best move would be for the various Iranian proxies to stop targeting American forces in Iraq, to stop targeting international shipping in the Red Sea. If they have a war to take to Israel, well, let them take it there. But this is not the theater for this. Yes, these kinds of attacks are kind of like diplomacy by other means. They are a diplomatic language. They are warnings. They are warnings about escalation, about repercussions. It's a violent sort of diplomacy, but it's diplomacy nonetheless. And one hopes that various actors get the message from the other before the situation degenerates into all-out war. Because an all-out war is what happens when diplomacy fails. We're still in the stage of diplomacy. It may be somewhat violent diplomacy at times, but it's still diplomacy.